newly hired wide receiver / co-offensive coordinator Derrick Nix with Alabama, man. We believe when he got hired, man, this was a major move by Alabama, man. And we're gonna go fully in depth why it's such a big deal for Alabama and what are we getting out of them. Tez, you being an Auburn fan, man, tell us what you guys had in Derrick Nix and what Alabama could be expecting to see out of him once he get fully entrenched with the team.
Yeah, Derrick Nix is probably, I mean, it's not probably in it. He was my favorite hire last year. Um, One of the most important pieces that were in Auburn. I feel like him and Kenyatta Watson were like two of the big pieces when it came in to getting talent into the building. Um, but I mean, outside of football, you're talking about just a really good guy, right? And that goes a long way in this business when you uh talking to recruits and parents and things like that. You know, he's a genuine good guy. Um, I tell a quick story. Last year we went to the Senior Bowl. A bunch of Auburn staffers was there, including the former coach Hugh Freeze, and Derrick Nix was the only one that stopped and was willing to have a conversation with us. Um,
Mhm.
it was like a 30-minute conversation. And he stayed there until his staff waived him uh to come because they were about to leave. So he gave us some really, really good insight on the previous season and some of the things that happened. So Alabama's getting a good one, right? This is a guy who's coached a couple positions, wide receiver and running back, notably. Um, has not been a primary play caller, but did call plays primarily for us in one game and in an offense that struggled the entire year. I mean, there's no secret. You guys saw what our offense was.
Yep.
That one Vanderbilt game, offense put up 563 total yards. The play calling, especially in situations, was I thought rhythmic. You know, you could tell he had a really good grasp of the game. Uh, I would love to see him call plays again and get that opportunity. Alabama making him a co OC is not a surprise. That's what he was here. Um, he's been that secondary offensive guy. So, you know, he's either been in the booth or on the field and consulting with the offensive coordinator to give him what he sees so that they can come up with a plan. Uh, Came up from under Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's one of the best play callers, you know, known the man that's in the game right now. So you got to think some of that has rubbed off with him. Surprising, I thought that maybe he would land back at LSU with Lane, I think the initial rumor was Ole Miss, but Alabama kind of came in the ninth hour and scooped him up where uh, he feels an immediate need for you guys. He lost what I felt like was a pretty good wide receiver coach, and now you're getting uh proven wide receiver coach and one hell of a recruit, right? You won't find too many people saying negative things about Derrick Nix. Like you just won't. Like I said, good guy. I'm a big I feel like I have a pretty good I'm a pretty good judge of character. And from my initial meeting with him, like having met him in person, like you could just he just radiates that. Like he's just a good dude, man.
Cool.
And that's gonna help you guys out in a room that, you know, has throughout the season has gotten a little bit more inconsistent as the season went along.
Yep.
I think he will definitely help shore that up. And hope well for you guys. I know you guys are hoping that he can, you know, help Ryan Williams get over whatever problems he's having because that's a dynamic talent right there. If you can get Ryan Williams to live up to what he was out of high school and what he was hyped to be, all of a sudden you have a piece that nobody else has in the country, right? So,
Good.
man, I think it's a good hire. I think it's a good hire. I didn't want to see him to go to Alabama, but man, I'm not gonna sit here and just make up stuff and try to make it seem like, oh man, you're not getting a good guy. Yeah, you get one hell of a coach in Derrick Nix, and don't be surprised, man, if he stays there, is sometime in the future, year or two, he ends up being a primary play caller for you guys because I think
Uh,
that's just the next step for him, and
uh,
he's proven in that short little period of time that he can do it well.
I wouldn't be surprised at that at all, man. Especially with him jumping in there when Hugh Freeze got fired, and just seeing the offense actually playing up to par what you guys expected them to play all year. And I feel like you guys played up to that par all year. You guys would have been a contender for the playoffs. But John, man, what you think we getting with Derrick Nix, man?
Look, I don't.
With a great track record too, by the way.
I don't say this very often. You know, I get it. He was at Auburn, but I feel like this really was a home run hire after I went back and did my research on him. I knew about Derrick Nix and his ties to Hattiesburg, Southern Miss, obviously playing at the highest level, right, in NFL, coming back, you know, playing that GA role as well at Southern Miss and kind of working his way up from there. When you're talking about I believe at Southern Miss, then got to really Ole Miss and got to coach tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. And that's all great. And the development was great when you think about Dexter McCluster, Ely, when you talk about Elijah Moore. Like, this dude doesn't just have a track record of bringing in talent. He has a track record of developing talent, right? So I'm not going to judge him against Jamarcus Shepard because I felt like Jamarcus Shepard wasn't there long enough at Alabama to really critique that part of his game as far as development goes. But I can't say he was a hell of a recruiter. Well, everything I've researched says that Derrick Nix is the guy that walked into the living room anywhere in the Southeast and can pretty much be in contention for that recruit. He has strong ties to the Southeast. Obviously, when you talk about Alabama, Mississippi, playing at Southern Miss, the GA at Southern Miss, working his way through Ole Miss, through multiple coaches, like you said, you know, playing for Lane Kiffin, or not playing for Lane Kiffin, sorry, coaching for Lane Kiffin, Tez, seeing the play calling. In my personal opinion, Ryan Grubb's name is constantly in the conversation of leaving, and I don't think you could really squeeze in a better name than Derrick Nix to say, you're the co-offensive coordinator. In all reality, you're probably the offensive coordinator in waiting at this point. Like, you've been around long enough, you have a track record long enough of not just recruiting, like I love to talk about, but development and really being that hard-nosed coach during practice that you also don't see at Alabama very often. That guy that can really get in your ass, right? So during these practices, and it brings a different dynamic to this coaching staff. And I think that's the most important piece he brings. Guys, most of this time that this coaching staff has been in place, outside of Freddie Roach maybe or Aaron Hodges, it's mainly been a West Coast North coaching staff, right? Well, this guy brings a Rough Rider, different dynamic coach. He has ties to the high schools. He has ties to the, you know, the whole Southeast, to all the coaches that's been in place. So from a standpoint of what are you getting, you're getting the complete package, in my opinion, when it comes to Derrick Nix and everything he can bring long term for Alabama and the benefits for Kalen Deboer.
Man, well said, man. Coach Al, what's your thoughts on this time, man? That's the only coach up here that know what you see in Derrick Nix, man, that how we can utilize him to make our offense better.
Yeah, a guy like Nix, I'm kind of like John. I think it's about the chemistry, what he brings to staff. You take him. The guy's from Alabama. I think he's from Atala, Alabama.
Yep.
So he's a Southern-born, Southern-bred. And I do remember when he was playing at Southern Miss in the Bowers. Southern Miss will actually beat you. They would go to Nebraska. They would beat Nebraska. Early in the season when they were healthy, they could play with Bama. They could play with anybody. I think this guy's stats, I looked him up. He was like the only guy in that conference to gain 1,000 yards 3 seasons in a row. Yes. I mean, he's that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he automatically brings what running the football means to your staff. He brings that into the meeting rooms with the coaches, not with the players, but with the coaches, what it means to be able to fundamentally run the football. And when you got a guy with that kind of gravity that's coming into the room, he already comes with creds. So you start to build, like John was saying, guys with Southern roots and Southern heritage and what it means to play SEC football at the championship level. You got to be able to run the football. But I also think that John touched on something that's very significant. He demands that you work.
100%.
Okay. So if you're going to play for him, you're going to be busting your tail, but you're going to want to for a guy like this. Because because you know he's going to make you. He's the kind of guy, personally, that I would like to play for because I don't care how hard you are on me. That means you see the potential in me to be something that I can't see in myself, and that's what coaching is really all about. In large degree, it's about strategy, but it's also about optimizing performance. And I think Nix has shown wherever he's been, if you could stay at Ole Miss from I think 2005 to 2022,
16 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
you doing something right there, okay, in the SEC. So, and also the tag of co-offensive coordinator means that they're going to pay him a little bit more too. I mean,
Right.
that title goes. There's a pay scale attached to that. So I think that he automatically walks into the receiver room and with automatic respect for the players. They already know who he is.
Yeah.
So he's crossed that hurdle. So yeah, I like to hire big time for Bama. But here's the thing. I would say this also too. Any coach in a new place has to get that right secret sauce ingredient with his staff. And that's what happened with Saban. His first staff wasn't the staff. He had to first get the right guys. And once he got that right mix, man, they took off. Okay. The key now is how long can you keep them there?
Yep.
But if you can keep them there with the roster talent that they have, oh boy,
Dangerous.
that could be a problem
Yeah.
for everybody.
I think one of the keys that you said there, Coach Al, is having the right guys, but how long can you keep them there? Especially in this day and age in college football, especially when you have just one decent year at OC, man, they ready to make you a head coach somewhere. They trying to get you up out of there. So, man, to see what like a guy like what Kirby does to have Mike Bobo and Glenn Schumann year in and year out, man, that shows you consistent what happens when you can keep those guys in place and you can consistently making the playoffs, which you consistently see them do. So, man, yeah, it's all about keeping those guys there, man.
Can I touch on one more thing, Brent?
No, please go ahead.
One more thing I want to point out is I think it's super important for people to remember when this announcement was made. Why? Because who do you think scouring the transfer portal right now? If you think Derrick Nix is not looking through the transfer portal right now with that opening up January 2nd, you're probably crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of Auburn players in that portal.
Yeah, this probably puts you guys in maybe the catbird seat for a Malcolm Simmons.
Perry Thomas.
Yeah, maybe Perry, because he was originally a Alabama guy. One of the things that Coach Al touched on, and you guys all touched on it too, is man, Derrick Nix is just the type of guy that is a forever coach, right?
Yep.
To be at Ole Miss for 16 years, it's not like people weren't trying to get him from Ole Miss. They've been trying to pull him since, forever. The only reason that he came to Auburn is because he was going from his current coach to his former coach, right? He's a very loyal person. He'll be there until you run him out of the building. Basically, that's what happened at Auburn. The current staff, new coach brings in his guys. There's no room for this guy. And he actually, a free agent at that point. So he's not a guy that's going to take a job that he feels like he's going to leave in a couple of years, right? So you guys will probably have Derrick Nix on this staff as long as you guys want him on the staff. He's not, like you said, Brinsky, they're going to entice him with head coaching jobs and such, but he's a very loyal. He's loyal to the kids for one thing, right? So in order to be that guy that is that kids love, that families love, and to be respected as such, you have to be loyal to him. So yeah, he's a guy that, in his free agency of coaches was probably looking for a forever home. So I don't see him leaving Alabama unless y'all decide to get rid of him.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add this. You take a guy with that kind of experience, right? And he coached with Lane. He understands how Lane game plans, and and how Lane takes those calculated chances based on the looks that he sees already. Pre-snap reads, he's trying to set you up, really setting it, calling the game. Say what you will about Hugh Freeze. In his prime, the guy's a great offensive mind. You can't be around coaches like that and then bring what you bring to the table and not be better for it. Now, he comes to Kalen Deboer's system, which has been proven to be successful wherever he's been. And he brings his twist to it and adds some backbone to what Deboer does. Can you imagine what that can look like? Because if he's a co-offensive coordinator, that's telling you that he has say in how they game plan and what they do. All right. That probably had to be part of the interviewing process as to why he accepted the job, meaning that Deboer has a plan. If I'm going to take a job, you better have a plan for me, and I got to see myself fit as far as how I can grow inside of that, because I'm not the kind of guy that you put me in a box. You put me in a box, one arm sticks out. Push that arm back in, the leg kicks out. I'm just not going to fit because I'm not like that. Okay. And if you can have a guy like that you say, okay, this guy brings the sauce. I need him, but I got to listen to him. So if I'm going to hire you or you're going to hire me, you're going to have to hear me.
Yep. And
if you hear me, that's just going to make that chemistry better, which becomes something else that Deboer has never seen. Imagine that with the talent we got, with that kind of offensive acumen that Deboer brings, his whole mentality with a guy like Nix coming into the mix. The only piece I would think that would be missing for us as far as getting us to a place where we could be dominant is a line of scrimmage offensively. Once that piece clicks, just put the 19 on the helmet.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm loving everything you just said, man. Even what Ted said, man, with his loyalty factor of just being at one place. He's not a type of person like, oh, I want to just, how coaches, they like to move around a lot and they moving their family. Once he's somewhere, he's usually there off loyalty and he loves the job, man. And hopefully he loves the job here because, man, it's a lot of talent here. And of course, we want to see that 19 on the helmet, and hopefully he's definitely a part of it because I think he's going to be a major part of it. But man, we're gonna see how everything go. Everybody got everything out up on Derrick Nix before we close it out.
One last quick note: he's only 45. This much experience, like
he's really young,
and he's only 45. That's
I did not know he was that young. That's crazy.
Incredible.
Yep.
Incredible.
I tend to believe that Deboer and staff saw that Vanderbilt game and saw him run the ball 36 times. It was like, yeah, that's what we need.
This is the guy.
Yeah,
man.
Get some of that in the building.
Yeah, man. I'm really, really excited about his hire, man. Not just because we taking somebody from Auburn, but it's just like what Ted said, man. I remember when you guys was talking to him. I was like, man, that was really dope. And I ain't know too much about him for real. Not even just looking on staffs and stuff like that for real at the time. But man, everything you research about this guy, even the people, he's a highly respected person in this football industry. So man, can't wait to see how it goes, and can't wait to see what everybody says in the comments, how you feel about it. Please let us know how you feel. Is it a home run hire? What do you expect from him? What improvements do you want him to see from the wide receivers and even on the offensive side? But we'll catch y'all on the next one, and y'all already know, roll tide. Peace.
Roll down tide.